So the other thing that the study that the metabolomics study brought forward was, and these were elite athletes, albeit. It's kind of cool when you can see somebody who's at peak performance seeing improvement. And they did something called ventilatory threshold, or Vo2 max. And so just after 2 weeks of drinking ASEA, these athletes were able to boost this Vo2 max, which I didn't know what this was, but we've all experienced it, but I didn't have a name for it. So it's the amount of oxygen you can assimilate in your body to keep your body going. And these athletes, again, elite athletes, saw their threshold go up by 2 to 3 percentage points. And their timed ventilatory threshold, which is where an athlete is finding that their breath runs out before their muscles actually exhaust. And they call that, the other way to think about that is what's called the runner's wall. It's where you have to stop to slow down drastically to be able to kind of regain your oxygen. So they saw that go up by 12%. So to put this into perspective, somebody who does the Tour de France, for example, the cycling event, they are just the difference between winning that and losing that is 1 to 2 percentage points of Vo2 max increase. So these athletes were seeing their thresholds go up by 2 to 3%, as I said. So, and they were doing this, which is an increase of 12%, which means that you can go 12% longer, harder, with just 2 weeks on ASEA. And again, these are elite athletes who are already at, in many ways, peak performance. The other thing that I think is just wild, and somebody, you know, who's looking to maybe even drop a few pounds, this is pretty powerful information. So there's something that happens when you drink these molecules between 15 and 30% before you do any activity. And what that does is mobilize something called your fat stores that you typically have around your abdomen. And the reason that's important is because, as was touched on by Ricardo, when you're using the fat stores, it's a much more efficient use of energy versus the glycogen stores, which are more of a fast hit and tends to be the reason why you're gathering lactic acid in your body and creating soreness. So what I also came to understand about mobilizing this fat store, and that becomes fatty acid that goes into the bloodstream and becomes an energy source, is that fatty acids produce ATP, which is the energy source that fuels your cells. So it's such an efficient way of using energy, and that they produce ATP at 6 to 8% more and times faster than muscle glycogen. So it's again, one of the things that I found when I was able to recover faster and have less soreness. What was happening is that these fatty acid stores were being utilized for the energy that was taken to do the exercise versus the typical glycogen stores that are faster, more tend to build up lactic acid way of using energy.